Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much for joining us on the Next in Line podcast. We're very excited to have you on as a guest today. Now, before we get into all the things that we're going to talk about, I want you to take us back to the beginning of your journey and kind of introduce yourself to the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, loaded question. Where to start? So, um, I'll take us back to when I first moved back to the US after being in Argentina for 6 years. And I was kind of struggling with who I was, identity crisis for sure. All my friends were at very different points in their lives. And I was bartending, trying to figure out what do I do? And ended up landing a job as an SDR, which is a sales development representative. Are you familiar with that role?
Yes.
It's yeah, cold calling, smile and dial, 100 dials a day. It was brutal. There was literally like a mirror in front of my desk that I had to smile as I called people. So it was tough. And I'm an introvert. I used to be super shy as well. So it was like quite literally the worst position I could have landed. But I'm also very competitive and I needed to find a way to hit my numbers, but that didn't lead to tears every night or nightmares. So that's how I discovered using LinkedIn as a way to connect and network and then warm call. And it turns out people are more receptive to that. So that was really like the start of so many doors that opened from there because I mean, obviously my business that I have now today is around LinkedIn, but I left that company where I was at with the cold calling because they just they didn't see eye to eye with that. And joined a 3D printing company, a unicorn tech company in Silicon Valley, and just it kind of exploded and accidentally built a personal brand in that industry because I started to create content and realize like what happens when you start showing up on LinkedIn and being top of mind for your network and building your network too. And yeah, it was just really cool. From there, though, a former manager and mentor of mine joined Forbes Books, and she brought me on as director of sales. So that was my first time intentionally in the world of personal branding and thought leadership and totally drank the Kool-Aid. I thought it was the best thing ever. I actually moved from California to South Carolina to lead the sales teams out there. But I realized pretty quickly it doesn't matter how great your book is if you don't have a community or audience you're engaging with. No one will know about it. And so left that, and that's kind of what brought me to where I am today. I launched my business about 2 years ago, and I help authors, but primarily business owners and sales professionals, leverage LinkedIn to help hit their goals and be more visible.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey. I know that, everyone starts off differently, and I think that your sales role really shaped you into the leader that you are today, and it's a full circle moment, it sounds like, because of the new business, which congratulations on that too, hitting 2 years
Thank you.
very recently. And I wanna kinda double down on those early sales days, and what are those cold calling and, those quota numbers that maybe were hard to hit. What did that teach you about connecting with people and the kind of work that you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, it's funny because when I first had that sales position, I had these metrics where call, excuse me, I had to call 100 times a day. I had to send out 300
Yeah.
emails, and the script was terrible. It felt terrible doing it, and then I can only imagine on like the receiving end, like why would I ever respond to this, right? And so it just didn't feel. It was so strange to me. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why do we think that we need to do sales this way? Like, there is no. It's like we forget, that there's a human that we're trying to reach, and instead
Yeah.
we're just making it more like automated as like numbers, 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 right? It's all about quantity over quality when it should be quality over quantity. And so for me,
Absolutely.
just realizing like, wait a second, like what would I like to receive? Like what's actually something that feels good to receive? You know what I mean? Like it just keep
Yeah.
maintaining that humanity piece to it. And I think especially now with AI and automation and all the things that we've got going on, like we've removed the human element so much that people just crave connection, right? Like that's what works really well and it's timeless, right? Like that's how we've always done businesses through relationships. And so sort of
Exactly.
throwing that out and then focusing on what again feels more authentic to everybody anyways, and I hate to use the word authentic because I feel like that's even lost its meaning these days, but just being real, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what matters, and that's what I took from what I hated about that job and focus on the things that really actually have real impact.
Yeah, for sure. I could totally see that too, especially now with like you said, the AI uh, here present, it's going to continue to evolve too. Like, I think that people can't forget that human connection piece that you're saying. Like, especially no
Mhm.
matter in what role they're in, a sales job, business owner, entrepreneur, any type of role, like you still need that human element regardless of the technology. I feel like technology could help you though.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I use AI all the time. Like, it's my business probably wouldn't run without it now, but I use it to help enhance me, right? And what I do
Yes,
and what my clients do. Yeah.
exactly. Which is the perfect way to do it. And now I want to talk about your role over at Forbes Books. And
Mhm.
you started working with authors and really diving deep into the thought leadership space. Now,
Mhm.
what clicked for you there about the power of personal branding, being that now your business is fully on LinkedIn? You kind of accidentally stumbled upon it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I honestly, like, when I was working at that 3D printing company, I didn't know that I was building a personal brand, right? Like, I was
Yeah,
just I was trying to build credibility because here I was, this, like, entry-level salesperson with an anthropology background talking to VPs of engineers and CTOs, like, why the heck should they
yeah,
trust me? I have no idea what I'm saying, like, what is, like, injection molding, isotropic properties, like, all these things I had no idea, and so that's why I started sharing content. It wasn't until I went to Forbes Books, I was like, "Oh, I have a personal brand, like, that's really interesting." Like, I didn't know I had those elements to it, but for me, it was, I did that because I saw that it was building trust. It was connecting with my audience. It was building a community, right?
yeah.
It's funny actually. One of my clients right now that it's a team, a contract manufacturer I'm working with, and it's because they remember me from those days at the 3D printing company when I was sharing content at the events, and
Wow.
then we connected a few months back, and they wanted to work with me. Yeah, so like it's crazy the power that it has. So for me, it was always about like how do I hit my goals? How do I hit my quota and do it in a way that feels authentic and natural. And so going to Forbes Books and seeing how you can elevate thought leadership by becoming a published author, right? Like it's just, and I, even though I'm not in the publishing space anymore, I still believe so much in what the power of a book can do.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's just so much, there's so much that can come from it. And that's what I actually saw. I was like, wow, like a book can help you get more leads. It can help you get speaking engagements. It can help you, build more authority, get other like increase your prices, like all the things. I'm like, this is amazing. So it's kind of interesting. I always approached it as like, how is this going to help grow your business? Without realizing like, oh, you also get a really beautiful personal brand out of it, right? Because you're creating valuable
Yeah.
content, you're showing up, like you're showcasing expertise. This is the stuff that it all ultimately connects, and it was really cool to see that happen.
No, that's amazing, and I couldn't agree more with personal branding piece. I think that that is the most underrated thing that a lot of people tend to forget about, and, the more consistent you are with your personal brand, I think the better it is. You're gonna see the results over time, and that's so crazy how you had a full circle moment, once again, having that
Mhm.
person, remember you from building that brand years before you even had your
Yeah.
business. That is amazing,
Yeah, actually, I
and
have a funny story about it because I because they knew me and I was like normally like when I have a sales call and then we typically have a follow-up to go over some questions or whatever it was, but we had the follow-up and they were like, "We're ready to go." And I was like, "What? Excuse me?" Like I almost like forgot like because I was ready to like go dive into questions and more about my program,
yeah.
and they had already were bought in because they had seen it work, over the years. So yeah, it's kind of funny.
Wow. That's phenomenal, but that's a true testament to that is like the first layer of I guess the buyer's journey now too, because for
Mhm,
personal branding, they look you up online first before they even meet with you, right? They connect
mhm,
with you on LinkedIn or, find you on any other socials nowadays, before even talking with you. So I think that is the most important thing that people should be focusing on and learning from your experience, the results that it could create. It's it's
yeah,
it's amazing, truly.
it is. Mhm,
And I want to talk about this personal brand that you've been building a little bit more. And I want to talk about the presence that you've had over the years. Now, what did that early focus on credibility shape both your career and the way you help others build their own now with your business?
mhm. Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's funny because it was always really hard for me to do this. Like it's not like I don't use social media in my personal life. Like I'm a private person, although you would never know that now. Um, so it was hard for me. It was tough, but it was better than the alternative of cold calling, right? So I
Yes.
had to like overcome so many fears of like showing up and putting yourself out there, on LinkedIn where everybody like it's different feeling than what you do on Instagram and Facebook. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's your professional life, but there's that blend there. So it took me a long time. I especially when I was working as an employee, it was different the type of content I was posting. Once I left that and had to create my own content, like share my own thought leadership, let's say, I was terrified. Like it took me ages to like hit that post button because that was felt vulnerable. That felt real. And then because I'm sharing my original thought here now, and it's just totally different than like, oh, check us out at this event, right? Like it's a very the content changed quite a bit. And so that was something that like I think w- how my how I grew my personal brand and like the challenges that I went through to get to where I am today resonates with so many of my clients because most people, in fact, 99% of people on LinkedIn don't post content, right? Because they're too scared. Scared. They're worried about being judged, right? Like it's
Yes.
hard to put yourself out there. Like literally
It
only
is.
just over 1% of people of the billion users on LinkedIn are actually creating any original content. So it's really
Wow.
hard to do. And so I'm actually able to connect with my clients because I know what they're going through. I went there. I wish I'd had someone like me that was like cheering them on, checking in on them, right? But because for instead, like I sat there like for weeks just overthinking everything. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have
Yeah.
someone to like ask the questions about and stuff. So I think that's like the fact that I went through all of that, and it took me years to get to where I am. I now get to shortcut the personal brands of my clients because I teach them everything I had, that I went through and can totally completely relate because like again, it's not natural for me to be doing this either. Like again, I did not using social media and showing that's like another piece to this, I think. So I just can really connect with my clients because of that.
No, yeah, and I feel like when you're able to connect with them on that level, it makes the partnership a lot easier, seamless, like, you understand what they're going through because you went through that yourself, and
Hmm.
you're helping them solve a problem that or, maybe something that they're in their own head about that could really change the trajectory of, where they're going, which is also really, really inspiring to hear too. Like I give you
Yeah.
kudos to that because it right now I'm super like I need to start doing that myself too. I mean, I focus on my personal brand. That's something that I focus on with my business. And I mean, just hearing your story and journey is just making me have ideas already. So
Yeah,
I
that's
thank you for
awesome.
that.
Oh, of course.
Um
Thanks.
so I also want to talk about, you kind of stumbled into this marketing space with the LinkedIn presence, and then you started off your career in sales. And I know in our prep session, we talked a lot about, how marketing and sales need to work hand in hand and the importance of that. Now, why do you think those two worlds are a little misaligned sometimes, right? And how can leaders bridge that gap?
Yeah, it's so interesting because at the end of the day, we all have the same goals, right? We're trying to do like, I mean, the specific goals and KPIs and stuff is going to be different, of course. But and that
Yeah.
might be the biggest thing, right? Is that marketing and sales they look at different numbers as to like what the metrics of success are, and so then they end up like fighting each other instead of working together to get on the same path. Like it's the most
Yeah.
bizarre thing. I was fortunate that I worked a lot under a marketing team, which is kind of strange as an SDR team, but
Yeah.
there was going through some org changes and we used to report to the CRO and then we got switched to report under the CMO, which again is kind of strange, but I guess with lead generation, like the funnel, it did make sense. I think that happens sometimes. Some SDR, BDR teams go under
Yeah.
marketing, but that experience was interesting because then I got to like see what goes on behind the scenes in the marketing and just like truly how different it is from the sales side of things.
Yes.
And it helps me connect better with both of the marketing and sales teams because I like I again we're going towards the same direction, right? But it's the way that we approach things because like marketing and sales have like different um what's the right word for this? Because I want to be like gentle because now like I'm in marketing, but it's like there's a very different vibe between I think sales and marketing people oftentimes, right?
For sure.
So,
For sure.
um
That's a great way to
and
put it.
and Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to, because it's funny because like I know I think a lot of people think I'm marketing, whereas I'm kind of I feel more sales, um but I don't even know what that means, right? Because like, who cares which one's which? It's just working together and figuring that out. And so I think,
Yeah.
understanding, like, removing some of the metrics that I think we don't really know necessarily what they mean, even. Like, I know impressions are important, but to like what extent is that leading to actual sales? Like aligning those types of goals to make sure that if you're
Exactly.
getting impressions, is it in the right audience that's leading to conversations, right? Because that's what really is important here. But I think they just focus in the silos of like what looks good on both parties and not what actually like connects and supports one another.
I completely agree with you, and I think that once, you start seeing the both teams kinda work together, it becomes, a powerhouse of a team if everyone is aligned and understands, like, back to your point, that we all kinda have the same goal. Just just trying to reach it together, for sure.
Mm, mhm.
Now, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about your business. I know you just hit 2 years, running this business. And as a matter of fact, we haven't talked about this yet, but your baby turned 1 as well. Now, both are huge milestones in the same year. How has navigating new motherhood and entrepreneurship changed your perspective on success and also your self-worth?
Well, again, another loaded question here. Actually, my son, we have his first birthday tomorrow. He turns 1 next week, but his birthday party is tomorrow, which I
Amazing.
like haven't even been able to like think about because I'm busy running my business here. But it's interesting because I'm doing what I'm building here is so that we can have this life, right? My
Yes.
husband's actually a stay-at-home dad, and so
Wow.
I'm able to put all the energy into my business, and my husband takes care of everything else, which is a really great partnership. I wouldn't be able to do this without him. But it's been tough. Like it's hard, right? Like there's the constant mom guilt, I will be honest, like of wanting to balance things and be there, but then I'm also, there's a lot of pressure financially and all the things that come with running the household in that capacity. So it's been really interesting. But I will say, like, I don't think I would be where I am today if I hadn't, had found out I was pregnant and put that, like, it lit a fire under me that I was like, I now have purpose and I have a meaning. Like, I
Yeah.
have to make this work. Like, we have no other option, to be honest, either. And so
Yeah.
it forced me to get creative and like figure out, okay, like, here's what I need to hit before he comes, before he's born. And I did it. I hit it because I had put the numbers there and I was like, I need to make sure that I'm able to provide for us, especially when, and hopefully take maternity leave, which in the end, like, it was kind of a challenging thing too, because obviously things don't always ever really go according to plan. And my son came 2 months early. So imagine I had to pause my business
Wow.
while he was in the NICU. And, it was tough. And I experienced postpartum depression as well earlier this year, which now that I'm out of it, I'm able to talk more about it. But it was just one of those things that like the pressure was crushing, my hormones were raging, and imposter syndrome
Yeah.
hit really hard. And so I was, even though like things looked like they were going fine, I just didn't feel like they were. And I
Yeah.
was like, am I gonna have to get a real job? Like, totally freaking out about that. But again, just sort of pulling myself out of that, with obviously the help of my husband too. I turned things around, and now my business it's grown more than I could have ever imagined. So I think it gave me, having my son has given me so much purpose with it. I wouldn't say like it's, I wouldn't necessarily recommend like being under this kind of stress and pressure because it's been tough. Don't get me wrong. Like, this last year
Yeah,
has been
yeah.
really hard. And there were times where I was like, I honestly, like, I didn't smile for weeks. I was scared. I was really worried and was in a dark place. But it also is what got me to where I am today.
Wow, that was truly a lot, and I thank you for sharing all of that because I feel like it's not normalized for someone to really speak upon those things openly, and I feel like
Mm.
all the challenges that you went through this year as, a new mom, the postpartum depression, and the starting your business and starting your entrepreneurship, I think that that is also a huge testament to your worth, your drive, your passion, and I think that's very inspiring to a lot of women who either have experienced that or like someone like me who I'm still in this next gen. I want to become a mom one day, and those are the things that kind of cross my mind. So hearing these stories like this, the fact that you pushed through like that is truly amazing, and I commend you for that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I talked to someone yesterday. She's 7 months pregnant and just like absolutely crushing it too. And I'm like, yes, like we can have it all. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
like we totally can. And this is something like eventually I'll probably talk more about this too. But I actually had one client. Like all my clients were so cool about me getting pregnant, obviously, and I was going to have to pause anyways. Um, but I had one client that fired me basically, and she was a female leader in women empowerment, and basically told
Wow.
me women can have it all, but not simultaneously, and you need to focus on what's more important, which is your family. And I wasn't gonna have time for her and stuff. So like literally fired me basically from that. And I was like, "Are you gotta be effing kidding me? Like, what?" Like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because it like triggered. I'm like,
That
still
that
cannot
just
believe that
gave me
happened.
chills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's crazy.
And so and like now I'm like, fuck that. Like yes, we can. And it doesn't mean I have to do it all. Like I have a
Yeah,
very supportive husband who's able to help with so many things. And we, built this uh life that works for us. And for me, it is all like I do have it all, And so I think
exactly.
it's good to talk about this stuff. Like, yes, there's ups and downs and it's never gonna be all butterflies and rainbows, but like it's totally possible.
It is possible, especially if you have a great support system in your corner.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
you can have it all, and you are showing us that through your story and your journey for sure.
Mhm.
So, now when you think back to the version of yourself a year ago, right? Juggling a newborn, a new business, imposter syndrome, everything that we just talked about, what would you tell her now?
That's a good question. That that it's gonna be okay, right? Like life is always gonna life, right? There's always gonna be the next thing that's gonna cause some stress, and like it's just not worth getting worked up over. Like you'll get through it. You always do. It'll like it's never actually as bad as you think of, and you've always made it anyways, right? Like you've survived all
Right,
these other things that have happened. Like you're gonna get through it. So just like don't let it like break you. I used to like
absolutely.
be totally full of anxiety, and I'm just starting to realize like there's just like there's no reason to be that way, Like and I'm not really that person anymore, and I still sort of like my initial instinct is to get worked up, and it's like, just stop, just chill, take some breaths, like literally take some
Yeah,
deep breaths. You're going to be fine.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
everything's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna work out. You went through it and you're prepared for whatever's next now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So now my favorite question as we wrap up this podcast is geared towards that next gen. And if you could give yourself one piece of advice, your younger self, when you were first starting off your career, and your leadership journey too, what would that be? Because as this next gen continues to evolve, we're going to become the next leaders. I'm categorizing myself in that space because I am that, considered Gen Z, let's
Hmm.
say. To those listeners, what would you tell them, and what would you tell yourself back then?
Believe in yourself. Like you are your biggest advocate. You are the biggest person that's going to get you to where you want to get to. No one else is going to help you do it. Like, yes, you have mentors, all your support system, of course, but like you are in control of winning. Like, go for it.
Yeah,
Believe in yourself that you can do it and do it. There's that doubt, that voice, that inner critic, like, shut it out and just like, you've got this.
for sure. I feel like, you know, it's sometimes a lot harder to shut that voice, down when you're in your own head a lot, but I think that if we kind of reframe the mindset to have it like how you were describing, you pushing through those challenges and stuff like that, it definitely helps. And having the advice here on the podcast, maybe someone doesn't have access to that mentor, and hearing it from you could really change their perspective and reframe their own mindset. So thank you for sharing that. And, I've had a wonderful time and a wonderful conversation with you today. And thank you for dropping so much wisdom.
Of course, I appreciate you having me. This is lovely.